Hi everyone, how are you? I hope you're alright. If you don't know me, hi, my name is Clara and I'm the owner of this channel, The Ink Path, where I talk about books in English and in Spanish. If you know me, probably if you follow me on Twitter, you have seen that I am not very fond lately of writing a lot of things. And that's because I'm very stressed out and I have a lot of things in my mind, and this year has been hard and I feel like it's taking its toll on me during December, and this has led me to not being very Christmassy type this year. I love Christmas, I have always loved Christmas, but due to my personal experience with the pandemic, we are all fine in this house, we are healthy and safe, but my psychological kind of mood is not the best at the moment. So I have decided that although it's not very Christmassy tradition type of video during these following weeks, because in Spain we extend the Christmas season up to January, up to the, if I'm not wrong, around the 7th, because we have like the big giving tradition thing. We have it on the 5th, the night of the 5th to the 6th of January, which is the night in where the three wise men come to each and every house and leave presents. So the humans, the children and the adults wake up on the 6th of January and find the house full of, or with a lot of presents around their favorite shoes. So this year I want to try to extend the Christmassy feeling up to the 7th of January, as I said. And my idea of being Christmassy this year is not talking a lot about Christmas and Christmas tradition, but trying to be more positive and more kind of merry mood by talking to you about the books that I enjoyed the most in this horrible 2020. This is not going to be chronological, although because of the book that I'm going to talk now, it seems like it. But it doesn't have to be chronological, so I will probably leave a lot of books that I enjoyed, but they are not my top of the list. I will eventually get to review those as well, but I want to review those books that give me all the feels, or that make me feel inside the story more, or that allow me to feel accompanied while I was isolated, or that allow me to escape when all went to hell, basically, during this year. My idea with this is to, as I said before, trying to get into a more merrier kind of mood, but also to be as contagious as I can. And I'm using that verb, I'm using that word very, very intentionally, so you can actually pick it up and enjoy it as much as I did, or if not as much, you can actually pick it up and tell me what you thought. So having said that, if you want to continue watching this video and actually see which book I have in store, although you probably know that by the title, I leave all my social media down below. You can follow me there now. Basically, my Twitter is all related to folklore and to Evermore, because I'm a Swiftie, and this year's been magnificently musical and sad at the same time, but it's healing my mental state at the moment with Evermore. But as I said before, I leave all my social media down below. I also leave my wishlist, my Amazon wishlist, if you want to check what I'm looking for, basically. Probably that list will be changing because of the Christmas season, but I will leave it down below as well. So, without further ado, we're going to talk about Enchanteé by GITA TRELEASE. First of all, I read this book out on a whim when I was checking my English library catalog. For those who don't know, I am living in Spain, but I lived for almost 2 years in Brighton, in the UK. And in this city of England, I have my library card, and fortunately for me, they have now an audiobook service that moves across boundaries. So I'm allowed to use my library card when I want, and I found this book on the new releases kind of category, and I never heard of GITA TRELEASE before, but I was instantly hooked by the summary of the book. Well, now we are going to talk a little bit about what is Enchanteé about. Enchanteé by GITA TRELEASE is about a girl called Camille that after her parents have died, she is now responsible for her older brother, who is not that responsible, and her little sister, who is very sick at the moment. So this is set, as I think I said before, in the time before the French Revolution. So there's not a lot of food actually in Paris. The job is not very stable, and Camille has to deal with the idea of sustaining her own family, knowing that her older brother loves to gamble and to drink, which means that the majority of the money that she saves, he spends it on that activities. So the story starts when, due to an event I can't actually talk to you about, Camille and her little sister are left alone by her brother. Therefore, they have to find ways to sustain themselves, the two of them. And they decide to actually start using, well, at the beginning of the story, you discover that Camille has some sort of magical abilities, which are called petit magie, and that's something that her mother taught her to do because her mother knew how to do magic, and Camille is the only one of the three family members, the three siblings, that is actually kind of has this leaning towards magic. Knowing that, her mother started to teaching her how to use the Le Petit Magie. Le Petit Magie, sorry for my French, it's been a long time since I did French. I did this in high school and I wasn't very bad. Sorry, I wasn't very good. Therefore, my poor pronunciation is very rusty. So this kind of magic, it's more a trick of the mind. So in this version, imagine that we have my mobile phone here and we want to convert this into, let's say, coins. So with the ability of the magic and her brain, Camille would be able to transform this into coins, but this magic has this limited kind of duration. So if she's going to transform, I don't know, screws and pebbles into coins, she has to buy whatever she wants with those coins before the object goes back to its original form. So because of this, Camille has to travel from one place to Paris to the other. So the people, the merchants and the shop assistant don't know about her ability to basically as a thief and as a magician. And there's a point in which this situation cannot last long, so the two sisters decide to look around the things that belonged to her mother, who, when she was younger, she was very in a very higher position than where they are now. So they discovered that in a trunk Camille's mom it was saving this kind of old fashioned beautiful gown that is more set for the court. Therefore they decided to, because it may suit Camille, they decide to try it on. When Camille tries it on, they discover that it doesn't do anything at all. So they, following some instructions that they found, they discovered that the dress itself, the gown, is magical, and it activates with the blood of the person. So you have to, I don't know, prick yourself and make the blood go down the dress to make it work. This magic is more complicated than Le Petit Magique, and what it does is actually transform not only the dress, which it doesn't look so old-fashioned or kind of stained, but it adapts the dress to the person. And for example, Camille, at the very beginning when they discover this, Camille has a very, very slim figure because they are very malnourished. So the dress itself makes her feel more full and rounded, for example. So with this magic, she's able to transform herself into a noble woman, a courtesan, a member of the court. So they decide that this would be a great opportunity to infiltrate in Versailles and actually steal from the rich. Because why not? She can actually pretend to be the Baroness of La Fontaine, I believe she's called herself when she's at court, and you know, gamble a little bit, steal a few trinkets, and then sell them at the following day in the streets of Paris. This is the idea. However, things are very more. They are very complicated once the gown is on. I adored this story. I believe it was a great idea to start the year with this one because it set me off in a really nice mood. I gave this 5 stars, but I love this idea for several reasons and I want to share them here with you. First, I love the idea of combining kind of fantastical, magical plot to actual real events. So throughout the whole story you are kind of transported into this pre-revolutionary Paris, in which you can actually see how people are struggling while the richer people are gambling and expending, and is basically a very, very extreme spree of spending money. So you have all that, and throughout the whole story you are going, or you are passing through very important dates in history, and you are being a witness of that without being info dumping. So you are only seeing Paris through Camille's eyes, and also you are experiencing the important date that you are aware that they are going to be important in the same moment that they are happening. However, you don't have this textbook like kind of approach to it. You are living the experience. For example, there are moments in the story in which once Camille is at Versailles pretending to be this baroness, she hears about the kind of the protest that the people at the surrounding village of Paris who are actually people that work in the fields and things like that. They are starting to protest. So you know what's going on, you know what's going to happen, but Camille doesn't. So there's this kind of bubbling idea of something is about to happen and something big, but you don't know exactly how it's going to develop, even though you have already studied at I don't know, high school. I love that. I love how both things are weaved together without being very unbalanced. I also loved how the magic works, following the magic. I love how the magic works because in this story and in this plot, magic, little or big, as for the person who's trying to cast a spell, ask for a lot of things. So, for example, when you do Le Petit Magie, it's not a kind of flicker of the eye. You need to focus and you need to concentrate, and that's very, very interesting in when Camille wears the gown, because this gown is very kind of drenching of magic, but it's a very different magic from Le Petit Magie. It's a magic that asks for plot, and because it's very linked to one person, you can actually feel how this magic is addictive. So Camille is going to experience this need of going back into the dress, going back into this facade of a character that she has to build herself to get into Versailles. And it's very interesting because as addictive as it is, it also has a payback. So in the following days, she feels like kind of powerless and very tired, and you have this toll to pay for making the gown work. And I love that because it's not just like I put on the dress and the dress switches on and helps me become this other person, this kind of pretended person. It's more complicated than that, and it's very interesting how you see that, and Camille kind of understand that throughout the whole story. So when the gown and herself are very linked, it's very hard to pull out of the kind of enchantment. Following with the magic, what I love as well is this idea of magic having limits. So in both cases, Le Petit Magic and the magic that is drenching from the gown, it's very kind of limited magic, very powerful magic, but very limited. So you have this feel of, and I am going to quote another booktuber for this, but Sarah Jane from the Book Life. If you watch her book review, and I agree in this matter, she stated as a Cinderella vibe, because, for example, the gown lasts a few hours, so she has to be home by mainly around, I don't know, around midnight. So you have to be sure about when are you going to use the gown and calculate when it's going to fade away. So apart from all of that, I loved the characters. I personally love the character of Camille. As I said before, I listened to an audiobook, so it was very, very well read by Justine Eyre. She actually kind of did all the voices, but I love how you could actually understand and identify who was talking with who. And now we're going to jump into the characters, but I love Camille because Camille is in the middle of two worlds. So you can see her going into Versailles at the beginning because she only wants to steal and she only wants to find a way of surviving using this magic that her mother stole. But she gets to Versailles and she feels kind of blinded at the beginning, but then she starts understanding how court works and also understanding that maybe some people are rich and some people are in very kind of advantaged positions compared to herself, but they are good people. And of course, she will discover as well that court is a very difficult and dangerous place. Not only for herself, that she doesn't know about how court and etiquette works there, but also for other people that she will later on find to be their friends. I think that Camille, as I said, and it was very well portrayed by the narrator, she's placed in a very strange position because she's in the middle of both worlds. So there's a point added to this addiction to the magic in which she doesn't kind of know herself. She doesn't know if she's Camille or if she's the Baroness de la Fontaine. She's not sure about when she's being herself. And I adore that. I also adore another character that is called Lazare. Lazare is the love interest in this story, who is an inventor, and she meets him when she's being herself, when she's being Camille, before all of these kind of trips to Versailles. But I love how they both are very dreamy. They are waiting for something else to happen. They are waiting to fulfill certain dreams, and they support each other. So when Camille starts going to Versailles without saying it to anyone except her sister, when the magic starts to take its toll on herself, she will have to navigate through being able to be herself and use the magic. This means, for example, that she will wake up feeling very sick after using magic, but then she will have to remember that she met, or she was supposed to meet, Lazare in the day. So she will have to navigate through life and the life at court. Talking about characters, I love how with Lazare there's another element that is discussed, that is race. Lazare is a biracial man. So her mom, I believe her mom, it was from India, and her dad is French. Therefore, he has a different kind of skin color, and because of that, he is treated differently. And I love how it's discussed in the book, because I believe Camille learns a lot about that without realizing, and they have discussions about this, in which Lazare has a different point of view because of the way the people that knows him treats him, because of his kind of background. And it's something very interesting, because I don't think I have read so many historical fantasy books in which race is openly discussed, and things related to race and racism is discussed. And I think I love that. In general, I believe this book has a very kind of interesting way of telling the story. It's very fast paced and it's very action packed, but the beginning is a little bit more slow, because you have to settle into these Parisian streets and learn about Camille's ability and find ways to survive through the magic. But also, I believe it's a very kind of rich way of storytelling, in the sense that you feel you are there. You are set in Paris in these kind of impoverished times, and you are set in this extremely rich court, and kind of it's almost like a magical court itself. Sometimes I felt like this Versailles palace was more of a kind of fairy tale, ethereal thing that is going to disappear when we step out of the dress. And I feel this kind of very, very rich background and ambience throughout the whole story. So to me, all of that sense of belonging, of being transported into Versailles or into Paris, I had the feeling that even though if the story Esther was more focused on learning about Camille and Camille's background, and it was a little bit more slow, I didn't mind, because I was trying to learn how was life back then and how is that reflected into Camille's family life. So I really like it. I adore it. I listened to this on audiobook, as I said, but if you are not in the UK, I know that Enchanteé, which the cover I hope I have already placed it in the in the screen. This story is now being renamed in the USA as All That Glitter. I am calling it Enchanteé because I listened to the UK version, which is titled like that. Having said that, I really enjoyed the story. I hope you enjoyed this review, and I hope you can tell me what you think about the review, about the book, and also if you have found other kind of stories that are historical but are intertwined with magic, because I would love to read it. Give me your recommendations down below. Okay? See you next week. Bye!